Welcome to Bad Playstyle, a book club-style video game podcast where we talk about a new game that we all played every episode. Hopefully you listeners at home have played the same game we did.
So you can avoid the horror of being mugged by the infinite spoiler.
Yeah, we are going to spoil any game we set out to play, and probably other games too, so be careful and check the fucking show notes so you don't get blindsided by the fact that, I don't know, Paul Rudd is Darth Revan. Hi, welcome to Bad Playstyle. My name's Matt.
I'm Keenan.
I'm Owen.
Well, welcome back, friends. This is the Bad Playstyle where we talk about Heath Signature. We talk about Heath Signature, which is a top-down stealing ships game. You're a shipjacker.
It's 2D Hitman.
Yeah, 2D Hitman. That's a good way to put it.
2D Hitman Blood Money.
Yeah. Good. It's like a puzzle, and you get yourself real deep in the hole on the puzzle, and then you work your way out with the tools that the game has given you, or you don't, and you get thrown in an airlock, and that's fun too.
Maybe you die, maybe you catch yourself, maybe you come back in and hit that dude who threw you out with a wrench.
Mm-hmm. It's a good time. Had by all. Yeah, but before we get into that, Keenan has a confession to make.
I do?
You do.
Is this the thing that we just mentioned?
Matt has decided you are confessing.
So, I have played a lot of games since I was laid off. Because that's what I've done with a lot of my time.
Sure.
And I'm confessing,
Who
apparently,
wouldn't?
that I played Shadow of War. Is that the thing I'm supposed to be confessing?
I don't know. You tell me, buddy.
So yeah, this game...
Is that what feels right to you?
I wanted it... That's the problem, is it doesn't feel right. Like,
Uh-huh.
that was one of my favorite games that year, Shadow of Mordor. It did all the right, I'm Batman in Lord of the Rings things that I wanted,
Mhm.
right? Well, it took me 6.5 hours, and I'm not talking, like, I guessed this number, like, I quit the game when it took me off the tutorial leash, and I checked.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me 6.5 hours to get through the entire early setup of that game, and it telling me how to use all the same abilities from the first game.
Okay.
So,
Off to a good start.
so 6.5 hours later, I might have a chance of taking a stronghold, right?
I mean, was it worth it to have an orc voiced by Kumail Nanjiani?
I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That part's alright. I'm into him. He's really great.
You could play a good game like Tacoma 3 times.
Yeah, yeah. That's
in that much time.
That's the thing that frustrates me is they went into Lord of the Rings directions I totally didn't want with this game. It's way more about how it fits into the lore, and I don't give a fuck.
I heard that the Spider Queen is a sexy lady.
Yes, she turns into a sexy lady at the very beginning of the game so that she's somehow palatable, I guess.
The personification.
I would have rather
of,
have been talking to a spider with the ring. Personally, I think that would make it way more hilarious.
Like, make for a good silly cutscene.
Yeah,
Just talking
well, a
to-
bunch of them, because you talk to her a lot. Like,
Talk to a spider like the size of like a van.
yeah.
Yeah, isn't she supposed to like have eaten herself in the lore because she got too hungry?
I mean, you were asking the wrong
I
person.
don't care.
Okay.
I don't know shit about Lord of the
Okay,
Rings.
so like a spider so big and so like penultimately ravenous that it fucking eats itself.
Yeah, and still exists.
And then it's a sexy lady.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You see why I'm frustrated. So yeah, and then like they're trying to hint at Talion's ultimate destiny being that he just joins the Witch King, and I'm like, that's a great way to sweep him under the rug for the rest of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember being really hyped for that game because like we all enjoyed Shadow of Mordor.
yeah.
Don't say we.
No, you enjoyed the game when you played it.
No, I thought the system was cool, and I had a miserable time trying to play it.
Okay.
Okay.
The Nemesis system as a concept is still totally kicking rad in that game, but there's too much shit in the way of it.
Well, so my thing with this new one was as much as I take Jim Sterling with a mountain of salt, you know, because that dude is
Because he takes the world himself with a mountain of salt.
yeah, he's hyperbole the person. But he just, the things he was saying about the game and then the way they handled everything.
Yeah, like I haven't gotten to the end game parts because the game is incredibly long for no reason.
I think we talked about this before on the podcast, but they made a DLC.
Yeah.
Which was like an honor for one of their fallen comrades who like helped make the game and was
But then
apparently
barely
super.
that money went to help that.
Well, no, it wasn't even that. It was that they charged for it.
Right.
Right, and then they charged for it, and then it was like, if you're not buying it in the United States, none of this money
Right.
goes to the charity that they're saying it
Oh,
does.
and the
Oh,
other thing I have
whack.
a huge problem with in this game.
Yeah, super whack, right?
That's whack.
The other thing I have a huge problem with in this game is like, so the first game, you're in Mordor. You're balls deep in Mordor. There's no one else around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Every once in a while, you save a couple of humans, right?
So
Yeah,
are-
but they're all like rag people.
Right.
So the first one's called Shadow of Mordor, and this one's Shadow of War.
Yeah.
So are you in the Kingdom of War?
I'm in war, yes.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
So the armies of Mordor are coming out and fighting Gondor.
Because bike helmets for fish are called fish helmets, right?
What?
Whatever. I always hate that shit where like if you're personifying something, you call the like object that they use a thing like after them, not after the thing that they're doing,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Is this like how you shouldn't call a fireman, you should call him a firefighter? Just like you shouldn't call a policeman, you should call him a police fighter?
Not really.
I think-
And a mailman becomes a mail fighter?
I understand where you're going. I understand the progression there.
So let me get to my other gripe about this game. So Lord of the Rings overall is a massive default by white construction, right? White by default characters everywhere.
Mhm.
So there's a black dude in this game.
Whoa.
One black dude, and you know what he does? He does everything Talion does, but can die. That's it. That's what he's there for.
Okay. He's just fridge stuffing?
He's a ranger. He's a black guy. Every once in a while you work with him.
Wait, does he have a mastodon sword?
Nope.
Black Ranger doesn't have a
No, that would
mastodon
be
sword?
awesome. But no, it's not that kind of black ranger.
Alright.
I'm sorry, I haven't played any of these games, so all I can do is make dumb jokes
He doesn't
about
do
them.
breakdancing karate either. Sorry. So yeah, like Shadow of War, what the hell?
So that's your confession.
That's my confession is what the hell, game?
I just think that, like, from the ground up, the design, right? Like,
yeah.
totally misunderstands what was good
Mm-hmm.
about the first game,
Mm-hmm.
which, like you said, was the Batman systems stapled on not Batman. Doesn't even
Yeah.
matter that it's Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and I didn't have
That
to care
literally
that it was
doesn't-
Lord of the
yeah.
Rings. I'm killing orcs with Cockney accents, and that's great.
Sure, fine, whatever. They could have been. They could have been anything.
They could have been anything.
Yeah,
I
and
could have been anywhere.
The fact that they weren't human helped,
Right.
because it makes you feel zero empathy for them, right? And the horrible things that happened to them. But like, it could have been anything, right?
Right.
It was just the fact that it was Batman, but I get to kill them.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I get to chop their fucking heads
like,
off.
this dude spies on that dude and helps you stab him in the back.
Like
those
the
things are
Nemesis,
sick,
but like
yeah.
what I'm saying, like it doesn't need like I said,
Lord of the Rings is all window dressing on what was a good game.
yeah.
Right.
So like.
And then in this game, they're like,
The complete
hey,
misunderstanding that Lord
check
of the
out
Rings
all
had
this Lord of the
anything to
Rings
do
shit.
with it, yeah.
And you're like, no, this is not what I'm here for.
And then the complete mishandling from the publisher angle of like all the microtransaction horseshit, the orcs as gear,
Yeah, Gollum's back again.
the fucking
You gotta
fucking,
follow him to do shit.
the fucking like you have forward operating base style PvP
Mhm.
stuff that people can just like
Yeah,
throw thousands of dollars at
It's not
and
good.
win.
it's not good.
So,
But it's very much a product of that exact time in game development too. Like that's the interesting thing, right? Metal Gear 5 did this. This game did this. There's a bunch of stuff that did those things, and none of them worked well. So we don't see that.
Are we sure we didn't work them well? Because I bet it might have made a lot of money.
They probably made money, but we don't see them over and over again
but we just did.
in the last like year and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, if those made enough money, the games that are to succeed them are in development right now.
Okay. Yeah.
Phone game systems bolted onto $60 titles.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at Battlefront.
Yep.
Like,
What if games just cost more money so they didn't have to do this shit?
I'm okay with that, honestly.
Because-
But it's not. It's like
No, but like games have been like locked at a price for like 30 years.
I understand like the argument that you're trying to make, but the thing I'm saying is, like, if we ask the publishers, if we ask them, hey, you know, it'd be cool if you just charged me $80 for your game,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like that's cool. They'd be like, well, cool, yeah, I'll charge you $80, and then, right, and then they just do the
I
same
don't know,
shit.
maybe.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the really predatory shit we see in games was when games went from 50 to 60,
Mhm.
the public kicked and screamed, and the publishers saw that like
Right.
if we try and bump it any more than this, it's going to be bad. So we need to find revenue elsewhere.
Right.
And I think the revenue elsewhere has gotten to a point where they're starting to, they might start to see that you can release a $70 or $80 game or whatever it costs to adjust for the increasing development costs of games and the inflation of currency.
Yeah. Or they need to back the fuck down on their budgets. You know, it's one or the other. Like,
But they're not gonna do that.
yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I don't have an answer for it. I played a bunch of other games.
Yeah. Okay.
I was at my mom's house in the woods with barely any internet for a week, so I played a lot of that Mordor game because it was available.
All right.
I played a lot of both Factorio and Software Inc., which are similar games in completely different ways, but they're both big management games.
Tell me about Factorio. I've
Factorio's,
always thought about playing that game.
Factorio's pretty neat.
Yeah.
But I got stuck when I couldn't figure out how to deal with pumping oil and turning it into chemicals, and couldn't get on YouTube to learn. So
Oh yeah.
I ended up like redoing a couple of games up to that stage and getting better and better at those pieces of the game rather than figuring that out with no help. So I'm excited that I'm home and I can learn that and play more Factorio.
Oh yeah. After we're done recording, I should just show you
Yeah, we can-
a base that has oil production.
Yeah, we can figure it out. I'm not worried about it. And then Software Inc. is a game where you make software in what starts out as basically a garage you build, and then over time it turns into a management game about running a company that makes software. And really all it is you have people assigned to work, and over time they add to the work, and then you release the work, and it's weirdly satisfying in a management game sort of way.
Okay.
You know, you put pretty paintings in the office to make them feel
Do you
better.
crunch your workers?
Yes, you can crunch. It's really bad. Don't do it. People want to quit or demand a lot of money, and it's just not worth it. Maybe just plan a little better. This is what I've figured out to do in that game.
Cool.
Yeah. And then tons of heat signature.
Yeah.
I think I jumped on it earlier than everyone. I'm up to 31 hours now.
I think I've overtaken
Yeah,
that.
probably. I believe it.
I
That game.
I played that game a lot.
That game's good. What did you guys play?
Am I going next? I know you like to be last, Matt.
No, we'll go in the order of clockwiseness. I guess this is clockwise. It's just a line. Like,
I think it's Widdershins, because clockwise would be going this way.
Mm-hmm.
Owen is gesturing like a clock, and
Yeah.
Matt is just staring at my
Good radio.
finger.
Yeah.
Tell us about what games you played, Matt.
yeah, sure. I didn't really do anything exciting. I played all the games you guys played, except Warframe, which was cool. But I played a bunch of Heat Signature, and I'm really excited to talk about that. That's what I did.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really have anything else to add. I've been off for a week, so I've just been playing Heat Signature in the morning, and playing multiplayer games with you guys in the afternoon. It's pretty basic. I haven't really strayed outside that formula. But you have a lot of stuff to talk about. So
Yeah, well, I got a Switch. I bought me a new Nintendo.
Yeah.
And it's very good. It's a very good system. And I can take it to work, and I play it at work on my lunch break, and I play it on the bus. And then I can come home, and I plug it into my TV. And I got my very first 3D Mario game, which I like a lot. Mario Odyssey is a fucking cool game. I beat it this weekend, I think. Played it for like 3 or 4 days and beat it. But the game was like very like joyful and pure and like
It's a Mario-ass Mario.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's a very Mario.
There's a lot of silly things in it,
Mhm.
and it has very like satisfying traversal mechanics. And
I forgot to mention I was given that game for Christmas,
Oh yeah.
and I've been enjoying it as well.
And then the other thing I've been playing that's not Heat Signature is I've been playing the PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds replay system, which they recently
Brand
released.
new at 1.0.
Yeah, so like for the last few months, I've been just saving dumb clips with the NVIDIA Shadowplay stuff of like dumb stuff my friends and I do and editing it together with music. Not for like a big audience, just for like my friends.
Yeah.
But then they released the replay system where you can spectate your past matches from like any perspective of within like 2 kilometers of your character or like from a free cam. So you can make some really silly things with the editing.
Which you have done.
Yeah, well, I'm getting warmed up.
Some very good stuff. I appreciate the sound and distance thing.
Oh, thank you.
Out.
Yeah.
Works pretty well.
Yeah, I guess we could put a link to that playlist in the show notes to the PUBG Life and Death if you want to see my like very low level play of PUBG.
We get into some stuff.
Although I found out last night when I play duos in Asia, I'm in the top 20%
buddy.
of Asia rankings, and I only really play duos with Sean.
Sean and you are a pretty good team, though.
Yeah, our duos go well.
And Sean has turned into quite the murderer.
Yeah. We're going to work on his communication, but that's always been true.
But that boy shoots straight.
Yeah.
Like...
But yeah, so that replay system, it's something.
It's pretty neat.
And it's also really cool because like we had a couple matches where like I was playing with Matt and Sean, and we should have gotten a chicken dinner. We had like a handful of advantages, and we like bad choices were made, and we lost the match.
Right.
And then we can like go into the replay
and learn from it.
And watch where the ceramic vase crumbles.
Okay, well, I just want to say on one of those, in our defense, the one on Miramar where we're on top of the mountain with 4 people, that was not our fault. The circle fucked us on that one. Okay? But the other one, the one that was Sean's fault.
Yeah.
Like, Sean made a bad decision, and we all died.
Yeah, we outnumbered the enemy team and had a terrain advantage. And Sean charged in at them, and
didn't go well.
Yeah,
this sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah,
anyway. I love Sean.
Anyway, that replay system is really good.
Yeah,
that Mario game's really good. I got Moonhunters for my Switch too.
Nice,
because my girlfriend likes playing that. I can bring the Switch over to her house.
Good game to put on Switch.
Yeah, I can bring it over to her house. We can hook it up to her TV, and then we both have a controller to play in her living room. You
totally don't need more than like 4 buttons for that game.
Well, you need the bumpers to switch through some of the menus.
You can do that on a Switch. That's
yeah. So, you have 4 button abilities, a stick to move, and then you have your bumpers, and that's all you need for Moonhunters. So, yeah.
Yeah, that thing's turning into quite the indie machine.
Oh, and I bought Jackbox for it.
Nice.
Because a mobile version of Jackbox is probably good to have.
Yeah.
The people were talking, because Steam is like this massive shit pile that just keeps getting worse, as far as just like the amount of shovelware that's on there, the amount of asset flips, the amount of just bullshit. Like, I remember listening to, I very rarely listen to Giant Bomb, but they were talking about how at the beginning of every month they go through like all the new releases. And how
this
for
has
the
been
past,
one of Vinny's like long-standing.
Yeah. Vinny apparently for the past like 8 months has just been getting super fucking pissed.
Yeah.
That all the Steam releases are just horseshit.
And bad.
So there was some interview I was reading with some indie developers where they're like, we don't actually want to be on Steam, so that's why we're on Switch.
Oh.
Because like the marketplace is actually curated in a way that you have a fucking chance of being seen.
Right. And there's a huge user base still.
Yeah. So that was I thought that was super interesting.
Yeah.
That Nindies are taking off.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a good device for like small indie games.
It's very good for a lot of those things.
Like,
they were smart about getting it strong enough to play a lot of things without needing to be everyone else.
If your game can scale down to 720p, put it on the fucking Switch.
Yeah.
Like, just do it.
Yeah.
Put Spelunky 2 on the Switch too, Derek. I know you're one of our listeners. Like,
that's not true.
Shh. Derek will hear you.
Yeah. No, the Switch is turning into a lot of the things Nintendo needed, which I'm impressed by. Lots of third-party support.
Good stuff.
Alright, let's talk about this damn game.
Heat Signature. First impressions. What were your first impressions of this game?
Oh, I have a pair of Post-it notes from my notes of the first day playing it.
That's so good.
Wait, but first we should talk about what it is, like more than just saying it's 2D Hitman.
If you want to do that, that's fine.
Okay, so Heat Signature is a game where the first mission, you are Seder Fiasco, and she has a really cool item no one else gets very often. But you basically get tutorialized in how the game works, and there's 2 ways to play it. You can play it in sort of a slow-mo, reactive way, or you can totally pause the game and like figure out what you're going to do next. I do less of one, more of the other. But anyway, the game teaches you the base mechanics of like how to fight and what you can do, and then it gives you a couple items and it shows you how those work. There's a lot of teleporters and stuff like that in this game. So basically, you go room to room on a ship. You either capture someone, you kill someone, you take over the ship, or you pick up an item.
So it's a top-down view of square rooms connected by doorways and halls and things like that.
Keys and pretty simple mechanics overall, but the way things pile on top of each other gets pretty crazy. Numbered
key cards, guards with a variety of weapons,
right,
like wrenches and shotguns and pistols.
Yeah, there's a concussive or lethal set of weapons all over the game. There's guns that do concussive damage. There's wrenches and hammers and etc., as well as swords. Yeah, I think that's
the gist of it. So you get contracts at your base, like go sneak onto this starship that's coasting around space and steal this device, or kill this person, or kidnap this person, or steal the ship.
Yeah.
Is that about the size?
That's all of them, yeah.
Yeah.
You can rescue somebody, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's sort of under kidnapping.
It's like capture-ish.
Oh, but here's the thing, though, is as I've been playing this game longer and longer and longer, capture missions require a greater degree of focus because I have to remember not to kill the capture target.
Yep.
Because I just get in sort of like this mode where I'm like, oh no, throw grenades fucking everywhere, dude.
Well, there's that one mission I watched you play.
Oh yeah, I had the rescue target and I threw him on the ground.
A friend's character, and then you threw a grenade at his feet by a glass window, and I'm like, Matt, what are you doing?
And I was like, I thought I had a gun out.
There was no way.
I thought I was going to shoot a supposed.
Wait, was that one of my characters?
No, it was one of Quinn's characters.
Oh, okay. So the game has a mechanic in it where, so it has permadeath, but if your character gets captured, like if you set off the alarm on a ship, a countdown starts, and if that countdown reaches 0, that enemy ship has flown into the hangar at an enemy base, and your character is just fucked.
You're captured.
Yeah, your character is just captured by that faction, and your character will show up in the games of people on your Steam friends list.
And your game.
Yeah, and your game. And
I saved one of my own people today.
Oh, I never bother. Like, fuck
you had some cool shit, it turned out. I was happy I did it.
Yeah, this game has like a ton of like friends list interactions.
Yeah, it's really neat. So one of the other things that happens is you eventually, a character becomes too badass for this world. And what I mean by that is, as you do missions, you gain...
People get tired of hearing about the cool stuff you do.
Yeah.
So well, first of all, you're attacking these outposts to make them part of like this coalition of free outposts.
Yeah. So the game, the star map in the game is 3 different factions plus the one base you take at the beginning of the game, and the game is about trying to take more territory and stop the war. 4 factions. Okay. That 4th one doesn't show up much in my corner.
It's the Foundry, the Glitchers, the Sovereign, and who's the last one?
Off-world security.
Off-world security. There we go.
So yeah, you're tired. The main character of the game at the beginning, who you do the tutorial with and everything, is fucking tired of this war and wants to fucking end it.
She's tired of getting shot.
Okay, fair. So the solution is that she does a lot of badass stuff to the point where everyone else wants to hang out with her, and they all want to do badass stuff to end the war eventually. Is what the goal.
Did you beat the game, Keenan?
I'm close. Okay. I was playing today to try and do that.
Oh damn, that sounds like somebody earned some chicken there, buddy.
Listeners, you're going to enjoy a special opportunity as the game gets spoiled for one of the hosts.
Yeah, you want to talk about the ending real quick, Owen?
I'm fine with that. I had time.
So you spend the whole game like freeing these outposts.
I was amazed I played that much.
And after you free enough of a certain faction's outpost, you get to attack their base. If you take out the base for each faction, you have the opportunity to end the game. And when you do, you go talk to Seder Fiasco, and she tells you that she wasn't doing this for your revolution. She wasn't doing it to make the world a better place. She was doing it to like basically knock down any opposition for this invading fleet. And
she gives one of my favorite fucking lines in the game, which is, if you want a revolution to happen, all you have to do is convince a bunch of like unsavory people that one's already going on.
Yeah. And so, like, the game ends with, like, it pulls back to the big, like, galaxy map of the area and just, like, ships coming out of left field and, like, taking over the place.
And
That's awesome.
she talks about, like, you will be approached by this faction that I'm not going to tell you anything about.
Yeah.
And they will offer you, as an option, to relocate you. It is not an option. Take it.
Yeah, Seder Fiasco is like some fucking Shadowrun-esque character. You know, she's the old runner who's too old for this shit, and like...
And has way too many connections.
And she talks about, I wasn't tired of being a spy. I wasn't tired of, like, doing this. I was tired of getting shot at. So I figured other people could do that for a little while.
Yeah, this game is super cool and super addictive.
Yeah, it's really good because, like, each mission is bite-sized in a way that, like, you could spend 30 minutes on a mission if you really wanted to, but you don't need to.
If you have the right equipment, you could spend, like, 60 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, there's...
Or less.
So the thing I like about this game is that it sets up these rules, and I haven't really found a way where they don't work the way I expect them to, and they all stack really well, right? Like, I can swap or teleport here, and Sidewinder teleport there, and I can do all sorts of weird shit where I change places with a guy and then slap his friend in the face with a wrench. And
so my favorite thing is that the game, and I keep going back to this, I love games that teach you, by playing the game, how to play the game.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's a lot of games that apparently don't care to do this these days, but I really, really enjoy it. Like, there's the galaxy map, right, that you're slowly unlocking as you're earning enough reputation to liberate these stations.
Right.
And every time you unlock a new station, or not every time, but most of the time when you unlock a new station, your independent faction gets access to, in your shops,
a new
item. But those items are associated with different factions. So, like, all those teleporters you were talking about, the Sidewinder, the Swapper, and the Visitor, those are all associated with the Glitchers faction.
Right.
Glitchers faction is all about teleporting everywhere. Offworld is all about, like, non-lethal options.
Right.
Foundry is all about grenades.
Yeah, they're the hard and fast guys.
And traps and guns. And Sovereign's all about blades and slowing down time. And using stealthy methods like key cloners and
so as time goes on, you start
subverters.
using the enemy stuff against them. Is the idea.
Yeah. And then based on where your like home base spawns in the galaxy, you're gonna run into one faction more than the other. Like so, my first game was all glitchers all the time. So
yeah,
like,
you were asking me when you first started out in the game, like, why is that ship red? And I'm like, I don't know, it's someone else's ship because you were only in the one corner of the galaxy.
Yeah, so I just fought glitchers for like most of the game, and then so for that whole nebula, the go-to strategy for any character who lands themselves in hot water, like gets into a situation where shit needs to be solved, I rely on my different teleporters. Right. And now in this one, the more recent game I'm playing, I'm in off-world security, so now it's all about, how many fucking concussive grenades can I throw around this ship before the alarm goes off? And then how quickly can I key clone my way to the pilot? And I love that there's timers in this game, but there's ways to turn off the timers.
Yeah.
Because
the timer isn't the only end state.
Right. Like that's just an extra pressure rather than like that being the thing about the mission.
If you trip an alarm, the alarm starts. And then as long as you can get to the pilot of the ship and jack him up or get him out of the pilot's seat.
Yeah, do anything.
Yeah,
do
like
anything to get him out of the pilot's seat.
If you light out a large enough explosion near the captain, he'll get out of his chair and come figure it out.
Or if you swap or teleport with him, he isn't in his chair and the alarm stops.
That's my favorite. Or one I've done is I had a silenced, non-armor piercing, like concussive gun.
Okay.
And the captain was wearing armor. And he's in the chair, and so I shoot him, and it doesn't hurt him. It knocks him out of his chair like an inch, and then
he investigates.
But he also didn't hear the shot because I was like far away, and he didn't see me. So he was like, "Huh, that was weird.
Yeah,
can't get back in the chair now. I gotta figure out what that was. Why I lurched, 4 inches to the right.
Fell out of my chair. Something hit me. What the fuck?
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah.
Well, it's like a game that's like about like. It's about like a plane gone wrong and like scrambling.
Yeah.
Because like
it's about recovering from the problem.
The only time it ever goes perfectly to plan are on the pitifully easy missions.
Yeah.
You know, like every other time, there's at least some amount of improvisation.
Yeah, I love pausing and looking at your options as far as what's in your gear wheel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like what's in your gear list, and then going, how do I solve this problem?
Yeah.
How do I? Because like I got 17 seconds on the alarm left. I'm halfway across the ship. I can do this, but how? Yeah. Like, how am I doing this?
Or you look through your list of items, and go, no, I can't do this. Yeah. Where's the nearest exit?
That's the other thing too. Is like the missions are low enough stakes. There's not really any penalty for failing at a mission, other than you don't get to do the mission. So like, I don't know how many.
Even the missions that matter, you can do again.
Yeah. Right? So like,
well, except for rescuing characters.
Yeah, unless
you
it's
get
your personal mission.
You get one shot.
If it's your personal mission, they come back. I've had them come back.
Okay.
Yeah, there's been a number of times though where I set off the alarm and there's just simply not enough time for me to get to the captain.
Yeah.
And so I just shoot out the nearest window.
Yeah.
And so like part of the way that this game works is you have a little tiny pod that you go rendezvous with these ships with, but you can control it remotely. So if you get thrown out an airlock or something like that, which will happen to you, that's not an if, that will happen to you, you can remotely control your ship to come rendezvous with you roaming away from the ship and scoop you up.
Yeah.
And if you're smart about it, you'll get yourself an off-world angel, because that's the best pod. Well, so I say anyway.
No, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
See, I disagree. Because my favorite trick, whenever I got caught, was I would use the Glitcher's ship.
So what
I would catch myself.
Why don't you tell our crew what the Glitcher's Tick does?
The Glitcher's Tick is a ship that, when you get within range of any ship, you can hit the E button and it teleports the ship straight to the airlock. And about 98% of the time, that works fine, and there's no glitches, and every once in a while, some weird shit happens. Because it's a game made by one person, right? Mm-hmm. But what this meant...
In Game Maker Studio, no less.
Yeah. So what this meant for me was, there were missions where I had all the tools to take everyone out on the ship, but sometimes there were too many of them. So they'd knock me out, throw me out the airlock, and I'd be like, yeah, whatever, and catch myself really quick, teleport back, and I've been gone about 2 seconds. So the guy who just threw me out the airlock has his back turned from the airlock and eats a wrench in the back of the head, and I continue doing the mission.
So, but here's the thing, though, is if you don't use an off-world angel, so a character starts with 30 seconds of space time, and that's
being in space, lifetime.
Yeah, that's lifetime, right? But if you use the off-world angel, that 30 seconds doesn't degrade every time you're going into space, whereas with the ticket does.
There's a weird situation where...
Also, the extra time you're spending recovering your dude and getting back to the airlock is the exact same amount of time it takes me to hit E and go back to the airlock.
Yeah. No, so the thing that I like, though, is that there's weird situations where your character is actually holding their breath before they go out the airlock, like if they wake up in time or something like that. So that was happening a lot in this situation, where it wasn't actually hurting my maximum space time, because... you hold your breath for a while before that kicks in if you did it on purpose.
Well, and then I was going to bring up the other important use case for the off-world angel is for vacuuming up targets that you're capturing.
Yes.
Because that can be really fiddly sometimes, especially if you've already had to scoop up yourself and then have to line up with the person you're abducting.
Yeah, the ability to shoot you and your rescue and or capture target out a window and pick them both up with your ship really easily is very nice.
So, like, here's my thing though, is because the different pods are there's the Glitcher's Tick,
right,
which is cool.
Yeah,
that's it. There's the foundry brick,
which is awful.
Okay,
it would be
fun.
It's cool, but it would be cool if I could actually aim it.
Yeah,
like it's just bad.
It's the idea behind it is you're supposed to crash into a room and remove it from a ship, which sounds really cool, but
you can't control it for
shit.
You
can't aim it at the distances you need to be for that to work.
Yeah, with how fiddly flying the ships is, it's very hard to precisely take out a specific room.
Yeah,
and be going fast enough to have hit it.
Like I would love if there was like a way you open up the pause menu and you're like, "Hey, ship, blow this room up."
Yeah.
Right, like target the room.
Like kind of like in Duskers, you can get the autocannon or whatever.
Right, like something
to just blow up a room.
Something like that would make the Foundry Brick way better.
I should start playing Duskers again.
That was one thing I was going to say. Is this is like friendly Duskers?
It's faster too.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, it's like a friendlier Duskers. Anyway, but so the Foundry Brick is god awful.
Yeah.
The Sovereign Coldfire has a single use case, as far as I can tell,
which is very rare.
Okay, so I ran into a ship. I don't know if you guys have run into a ship like this before. A ship that has so certain guys will have heat
What's their windows?
No. the whole ship has a big bubble around
So
it.
some guys have
Yeah.
the heat signature thing where they follow anything that's in that circle, right?
Okay.
And I get that, like, all the,
The
ships
ship
have the
has
windows.
this.
I'm saying the ship that I went up to had an enormous bubble around it, and as soon as I went into the bubble, I got shot.
Oh, okay.
And so
So that's what the cold
that's
fire is
the
for.
single use case I found for the Sovereign Cold Fire because it ignores those heat signature bubbles.
Yeah,
Okay.
you hit
Right.
E and you get a smaller thruster, but it doesn't get caught.
Okay.
And then there's
Then there's the Off-World Angel, which actually does something.
Where if it flies within a pretty wide radius of your dude in space or a person you're scooping,
You just hit
you
E.
just press E and it vacuums you up.
and it the best part about it, which is where I understand why you guys are way into it, is when you pick your character up, they don't suffer long-term
Yeah.
space damage.
Yeah, the lifetime space damage.
Which is that's really more of a perk. The big thing is that I can just be like, so easy. I'm not even looking. Picked up my dude in
Yeah.
space. You know, like that's the big thing.
Yeah, like I think it was on partway on my playthrough. I was like, "Yo, Matt,
Yeah.
you should get yourself an
Well,
off-world
because I was
angel."
complaining at the beginning about how driving the spaceship was my least favorite part of the game, and it was keeping me from playing the game. And Owen was like, just beeline for this thing, and you'll stop having that problem.
Yeah.
I somehow figured out the flying system pretty early when I'd gotten invented. The first couple times I was like, oh, well, this works. I'm doing this.
I found the controls for it pretty intuitive, but that doesn't mean I still don't like.
Yeah,
moving
no,
off
like,
world
there's
anymore.
times where I miss 5 times. It still happens.
Yeah.
Like,
Also, it makes venting stuff out into space way more of a standard piece of your toolkit because you don't
there's
suffer.
no chance of
Well,
missing
you don't
it.
suffer long-term penalties for it,
Yeah.
so I can just do it every time I need to do it. Like,
Yeah.
there's been a lot of times where I take a mission where I need to take someone alive who is wearing armor, and I have no weapons that can penetrate armor without killing them.
Yeah, blow
Well,
the window.
yeah, you just blow them out a window.
Yeah.
You lure them into a room with an unsilenced pistol, just shooting it into the air to get them to come towards you. And then when they come into the room, you point that pistol at the window.
Yeah, clack, 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 and then they come in there like, what's up? Bam!
And then we're all out in space.
Yep.
I remote control my ship and I scoop them up.
Yep.
It's just like from playing Warframe and from playing other Diablo gear games, shit like that. It's anything that can give you increased consistency and greater
Yeah,
utility,
no.
and none of the other pods do that for me.
That's cool.
So
Like I've never encountered the thing that you were talking about with the Sovereign Cold Fire.
I didn't only found it once.
Yeah,
I've
It's
only
like-
seen it that one time.
Yeah,
you did it.
and that's just
Like,
because what I started doing is when on my last Nebula, I started having just all Liberators, which, so we should say, there in each station there's a bar, and at the bar there's 4 characters, and those 4 characters are like the characters you can choose from to play, right? Because it's semi-roguelike in that nature, like the characters are like random.
Well, like randomized gear.
Yeah, but if you do these missions called Defector missions, Liberators will show up at your bar, and Liberators will have like 3 pieces of super good gear and extremely high chances to get way good gear on their personal mission, which you can do immediately.
and their personal mission is also to liberate a base.
Yeah,
which is rad.
Which is the thing that you want. So, yeah, towards the end, I just had all Liberators, so I had like all the super good gear. So I was only playing like the last 2 missions on any given thing, and so I was doing all these like super audacious and mistake missions.
Yeah, if it's audacious or if it's not audacious or a mistake, I'm really just not interested.
Yeah. Which I love those difficulty because they make me feel cool.
Yeah.
They make me feel it's like, oh yeah, I did a mistake mission.
So, like, everything about this game from a text standpoint is amazing, right? The character names are all ridiculous, awesome future world
What's the
names.
coolest name you ever got, Owen?
I don't know because I don't pay attention to any of my characters' names.
I captured Andar Prophecy today, and I was like, yeah, I did.
I had a character named Babu Parabola.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is the dopest shit ever.
because the characters are so disposable and you routinely.
Oh yeah,
retire
no,
them.
there have been 200 names that I went, that's amazing, that I've forgotten.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so like after a while, after you've used the character for a long time, your ability to liberate stations gets diminishing returns. That your character becomes so famous.
they're like, yeah, of course that guy did that.
Yeah,
Like,
that people aren't shocked that Han Solo did the Kessel Run or whatever
right.
the fuck.
You mean Boba Fett did that cool, insane thing? No
Yeah.
way.
And so you get the option to retire your character, and if you do, you can pick a piece of their gear and name it, and then it gets inserted into the loot pools of everyone on your Steam friends list. And so like at first, I'd always pick the coolest piece of gear that they had and name that and put it in. But then I started to realize the coolest piece of gear they had would also probably be the rarest, which means like most of it never got seen. So, like, for me, like, after I did it a few times, I started picking, like, the most boring item out of their inventory just so I can make Matt and Keenan here see the dumb names that I think of for weapons.
But Big Dumb Space Hammer has saved my ass so many fucking times.
Yeah, so, like, concussion hammers, super useful in the game. They're also super common.
Yeah.
So, I made one called the Big
they're
Dumb...
super common if you
If you
have
unlock
that node. If you haven't unlocked that node,
if you're not
Big Dumb Space Hammer makes that character have an extra thing in his toolbox.
If you're not in that area at all, you don't run into them.
Yeah.
So you said concussion hammer. I'm like, what's that? I saw that way over there, but I haven't seen one yet.
You should go get it. It's so
No,
good.
they're dope. I got
and
them.
then I can't tell you how many times I've used the moist sort of good sidewinder
Yeah.
to get out of a scrape here or there.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that the Snake Man always gets a grenade launcher attached to it.
Yeah, so I have a self-recharging, which means you can use it infinite times in a mission, stealth field. Which, just for listeners, the stealth field makes it so that 180-degree vision, like, from your frontal cone, can't see you.
Yeah.
Unless you're really close, and then they get an idea about it.
Yeah, but I haven't really experienced that.
It happens.
Anyway, whenever I get the Snake Man, that character inevitably gets a with the stealth field is called the Snake Man.
Okay.
Snake in the grass.
Sure.
You know, but whenever that happens, I get a self-recharging grenade launcher
Like,
with the same character.
like, it's like paired. Like,
Yeah, they
it's
just they happen, right?
magic.
It's
It's
electron
Yeah,
paired.
it's
it
magic.
happens.
Yeah. So it just becomes the hi. You can't see me, but I'm peeking around this corner. Here, have this. And they go, what's that thing on the boom?
Yeah.
You know. And that's the thing. And I love explosives. They just go through armor. They go through everything except shields.
So this game's got a lot of great tools, and it lets you learn them at your own speed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think that's the part I like about it the most. There was a point where I understood everything that was available.
Everything is opt-in.
Yeah, and there was a point where everything I had available to me, I understood. And then I ran across something new, and then you're like, oh, what's this thing do? Oh man, there's like 9 ways I can use this. This is really neat.
It really makes you understand and appreciate the nuances of each individual piece of gear.
yeah.
And then, you even... And you having to, because all the gear is random and the gear can't be shared between characters, having to come up Dusker's style with new strategies on the fly.
Yeah. If anything, it's like what Duskers is like gesturing towards, but never quite reaches. Where like, I think in Duskers there's a big variety of gear, but some of it is just better than others, and some of it's bad.
Yeah.
And I think it wants to be like this gear, where like it all has its time and place, and if you know how to use it, you can be Mozart.
Because like we were saying, right, is like even the unsilenced pistol,
Yeah.
the absolute bottom of the fucking
You can
barrel
go into
has
any
its uses.
easy mission and find 12 of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they have their uses. They have their specific times where this is the exact thing I needed to get that dude over here where I need him, so we can be out in space and I can complete the mission.
And even an unsilenced pistol, a completely unsilenced pistol, has a maximum sound radius, so you can still use it
And
discreetly.
it's accurate way farther than that when you work it right.
Yeah. Like, I found myself when I get new characters, what I started doing, because, like, you'll start with, like, 2 items. You'll start with a weapon and then, like, a tool.
Yeah.
So you get, like, a teleporter and a wrench, right?
Right.
On my first mission, I'll pick up, like, 5 pistols.
Yeah, no,
So
first mission on every character is, hey, that's an easy mission. They have guns.
Yeah.
Right?
So I can walk into a room with 5 dudes, shoot a guy, pause the game, equip the next pistol, shoot the next guy, pause the game, equip the next pistol.
And that's the wonderful thing is that
So you're killing the next guy with the previous guy's
you can
gun.
pause whenever you want, but each item has like a small cooldown before you can use it again. Varies between items. But there's an item that makes that small cooldown go away.
Oh, okay.
The slipstream.
Oh,
does
yeah,
that.
yeah,
It slows down time.
So
and renders your item cooldown.
literally,
stupid.
you can slipstream to slow down time 10 times slower than it normally goes, and then you can teleport into a room with like 10 guys in it, and then just hit them all with a big dumb space hammer.
Big dumb space
before
hammer,
they
yeah.
can even like register that you're there.
Yeah.
They were all knocked out and still didn't count as witnesses.
Well, yeah. You did it so fast they don't count as
There's
witnesses.
there was a guy, I don't know what he fucking looks like.
They have a whole bar that has to fill out before they count as a witness.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else to say about this game, really?
It's totally rad.
Yeah, you should get it. It's really good.
I mean, I could keep talking for
It's got great music.
for a while.
It's got good spacey techno
The
music.
visuals are very good.
Yeah, it's got like a style of sprites that's from like 20 years ago. Like it reminds me
This
of
game could be on like Super Nintendo.
No, it's a little higher fidelity than that.
Okay.
But it's like it reminds me of like
early PlayStation games.
Yeah.
early PlayStation games or like freeware games I played in middle school.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
cartoony aspect of it makes it that way.
Yeah.
Like
like-
fucking Little Fighters or something.
Yeah, it has an art style to it that is like of a time I can't exactly place.
I like that your character stance changes with what you have equipped.
Yeah.
Your arms do different things if you have swords or something.
Oh, did we talk about the Christmas event?
Oh,
No,
the
we
the
didn't.
Christmas event was rad. Hey, Owen, I still haven't run into the Void Mother because I'm scared.
Oh, okay. Well, this is fun. So for the Christmas, before we get to the Void Mother.
Yeah, but
So
that's
the-
part of it. It came out on the same patch, but anyway.
Oh, I thought the Void Mother was just a Christmas thing.
I think, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think
Oh,
it's-
okay,
it's
but-
part of the holiday thing.
Yeah. So during the holidays, because we were playing this over like Christmas break ish.
Mhm.
Every day you can go receive a present and you can give a present to, and it becomes available to anyone on your Steam friends list. And really, I wanted to bring up the Christmas event because I wanted to put my friend Brian on blast.
Yo, fuck this guy.
Because he gives shitty fucking Christmas presents. I always put good things.
He was putting like blue trash
Yeah.
in.
so
It's like, here's the subverter with 3 charges you can't recharge.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna. In before this reaction is exactly what Brian wanted.
nah, fuck that.
Nah.
Alright.
Public shaming.
Yeah, Brian, you're on notice.
But you also got other cool things from your friends, like the multi-ball,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is a grenade launcher that shoots 5
Oh, that's right. I
grenades
gave
at a
that away,
time.
didn't I?
Yeah.
I received it twice on 2 different characters on the same day.
Yeah. And in that situation, you get to name the things you put
Yeah,
out too.
it's a lot like putting it in the item pool, except that now I missed the gifting pool.
And also in the Christmas patch, they added the Void Mother. They mentioned that the Void Mother is out for the winter holidays.
I love the patch notes for the Void Mother.
Oh yeah, that's another weird thing too. Is anytime you pause the game, you press escape, you can just see the most recent patch notes.
Yeah.
I can't think of any